Hey boys, it's Joe Blow here in chilly off-season Mudville, waiting for the hot stove to crank up. God, I'm glad I don't have a player option or a club option on my contract. I'd be done. We'll talk about that later. Hey, this AJ Hinch thing, I was really ticked off when he got that job, but I'm starting to think that maybe the league made him go to Detroit as a punishment. Let me know what you think about that. That's kind of weird. Oh, wait a minute. I got to go. Jeff Luna was mowing my lawn, and he's trying to make ends meet, so I got to go pay him. He's been analyzing the damn thing for 3 hours, and he's trying to get paid by the hour. Bye. See you.
So AJ Hinch apparently is back from a 60-game vacation imposed on him by Major League Baseball. Kyle, I know you have very strong feelings about this, and I'm curious to know what you think about this.
No, I just don't understand how someone could be that much involved in a scandal like that and that big of a scene and then just basically just get a slap on the wrist. It's almost like, the rules that the commissioner and MLB put in place are just for eyewash, and it just makes no sense. I've seen guys get tested numerous times for PEDs, and I believe I can't remember who it was, but I think the third time it's supposed to be a lifetime ban. And I think Manfred reinstated this one pitcher. So, it just doesn't make sense for these rules. And then only have a 60-day vacation. Basically, nothing is really done to you. And then as soon as the season's over, bam, here you go. Here's a new job for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for people who actually work their tails off, who try to get to positions like that. He may be a great guy, but guess what? He did something that was they all did something that was awful, and there was really no punishment to any of them. And like I said, you got guys in those positions, players and managers, trying to get to that position, and this stuff like this are given to other guys who end up cheating and get it first. That's terrible.
I can't disagree with you. And I did hear a comment that I thought was hilarious. That I guess managing the Tigers is as close as he's going to get to a lifetime postseason ban, which is mean and it's cold. But I got to give credit to where it's due, man. That was pretty freaking funny. So, Glendon, what do you think about AJ Hinch? Of course, second chance I get, but did he get punished? Was that anything?
I don't think those guys got punished probably as much as they should have. The players got off the hook altogether. I said from the get-go when they brought Dusty in there could not have been a more perfect guy to smooth the waters in that place than him, because he's as good as it gets and cool and I think he kept it away from them pretty well, I thought. But the interesting part to me was right away in the media, it was like right when everything started, it was who's going to hire Alex Cora and who's going to hire AJ Hinch next year. It didn't take hardly any time. It was like, okay, where are those guys going to manage in 2021? So it's like Kyle said, it's a slap on the wrist, and we all got to live with it. We're not going to change it, but it's interesting how it works.
Yeah. Agree, 100%. Jeff, I'm sure you got something good to say about this.
Why do you always assume I have something good to say about it?
Because if you didn't, I wouldn't have you on all the time. What are you talking about?
I don't know when to shut up. No, I thought it was pretty weak, and the whole idea that he didn't know it was going on, or he kind of knew, but he didn't, in my mind, a real leader, a real manager wouldn't go in there and break a monitor. He would say, this shit stops today or your ass is out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I promise you. Some of the guys I played for would have done that. It's like, and the problem with the Houston deal is that the people upstairs, the nerds, they don't know what the unwritten rules of baseball are. And AJ Hinch as a player knows that. You can, go as far as you can to that line, but do not cross that line. And when you use the technology and start doing the signals with the trash cans before the pitch is coming, they had to know that was crossing the line. And I think he just got caught up in the success they were having. It's like, why would we change things when we're winning? So I think he got caught up in it, and I'm pretty surprised. Cora's probably going to get a job too. And he not only cheated in Houston, but he cheated in Boston too. So it's, it's on the wrist, and don't worry about it. Just, come back, and as long as we win, everything is cool.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Manfred. And, Kevin, I'm going to ask you, of course, my prediction is Cora's going to wind up right back in Boston. Ron Renicky was the 1-year stopgap. He only got stuck there for 60 games, got paid. Screw it, I can go back to being Ron Renicky. And he's a good dude. There's nothing wrong with Ron Renicky. But, what do you think about all this? And, and Cora possibly coming back to Boston? Because that would be my uneducated guess, is that's where he winds up.
Well, I've known Alex a long time. I talked to him soon after that. We just had a little discussion. I wasn't writing anything. And he told me, he said, don't worry, I'll be fine. Another one. Yeah. So they all know. And it shows you how desperate the game is. And it gets back to the nerds. This all comes from the nerds. It came with the blessings of the nerds. And how about Lou now, the GM? He did that long interview and basically said he didn't know anything about. Are you kidding me? I'm there. I was around the Astros a lot. I was there 2 years ago in the playoffs, Game 5, Tyler Glasnow. I told one of the owners from the Rays, because they thought they were going to win that game, and I said, no, you're going to lose. I told him before the game. We're on the field talking. I said, they're going to kill Glasnow. They're going to get him. 4 runs first inning. They were cheating their ass off all the way through. You just know they were, and they were still doing some stuff. And this is baseball now, and teams are so desperate. I have no problem with a guy getting a second chance. But here's where it's going to be interesting to me. This year there were no fans. When Hinch manages that team now and they go on the road, he's going to hear it. It's going to be all these things these guys hate. It's going to be a distraction. Everywhere he's going to be asked about it, and we'll see how he handles it. He's always been he gives a good answer to a question. He's a smart guy, and the one thing I will say is at least he admitted he was wrong. He did wrong things. So, but it's not going to die because of that. It's not going to die because of that. And I'm sure there's going to be times where teams are playing his team, and the guys in the other, especially the Yankees. The Yankees when they play the Tigers now, they're going to be, it's going to bring them up a notch. So the Tigers think they made a good move. They may have made a good move, but they're going to have to go through a lot of crap yet, and it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. And the same deal with Alex Cora. This is going to be street justice, one way or another.
Yeah, but Yankee fans are used to booing the Red Sox no matter what. They don't need that much extra motivation.
Well, funny thing here, I was talking.
I've done a lot of that myself in that stadium, so
I know,
come on.
Yankee fans are upset about that no matter what. But I'm just saying,
it's not exactly great for the Tigers if they come in and get booed. And poor Tariq Skubal is pitching for he's throwing a jab and they're booing the hell out of him because of Hinch. It's collateral damage is what it is, because that is going to be a distraction.
Every game he covered, everywhere he goes now, post game, pre game, that's going to be the league question. Yeah. And he's going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have to deal with it. And just a funny aside, I was talking to somebody who was at the Astros camp this week, and they have instructs, and the Astros do things. The infielders, the position players didn't have jerseys on. They had shorts, they had T-shirts, so nobody could tell anything. So the Astros haven't really changed their ways. And during one drill, and this is true, this is what really happened. Now, I don't know if Jeff had this drill when he was in maybe instructionals and things. They were telling the hitters what was coming. And one of the people that was there that I know.
That's very Astros.
Yes. Said to the guy who was running the drill, said, is this going to get them ready for when they come to the majors and you guys cheat too? So, I'm sure it was some kind of drill they came up with, but it's who the Astros are. The Astros will still have to pay a huge payment, and they're going to lose some guys. Springer will probably wind up in New York. So this is not – it's over, but it's not over.
I agree with you. Now, Rocco, I know you had a question that you wanted to ask Glendon, and I think that'll be a nice segue into maybe bringing baseball back with Tony La Russa. So, Rocco, take it, buddy.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Glendon. I'm a big Mets fan, so I'll throw that right out to you. My question is on that 2000 Mets team, and you mentioned Bobby Valentine already. You kind of almost answered the question. that team is looked at as way overachieved. Sure, a lot of talent, especially in the rotation, but Valentine got the most out of that team, getting that team to the World Series. Is he able to kind of, I guess, what is your experience? And you kind of already talked about that, but would he be able to manage like that today and kind of get the most out of your team?
Bobby was great. It was just kind of a split clubhouse. I would say half the guys were fans of him, and maybe half the guys weren't, because you had some veteran guys that didn't necessarily like his style as much as some of the other guys. Now, I was a youngster, along with, Jay Payton and Agbayani and those guys. But I'll tell you what we did have that was incredible was the group of guys from Al Leiter, Mike Hampton, Rick Reed, Bobby Jones in the rotation, and then the guys in the bullpen, Johnny Franco, Dennis Cook, all those veteran guys, man, they led that team, especially on the pitching staff side. And then, you get the Ventura, Zeal, Piazza, and that group leading the position player side. We were just a really good core of guys. Everyone spent a bunch of time together. It's that, camaraderie and clubhouse atmosphere that everyone talks about that people claim that doesn't do anything, but I'm telling you it does. And we played well together. And I think Bobby was a huge part of it, and he was great with me, and I've always been a huge fan of his.
That's awesome. I mean, so now this also brings me to La Russa. So do you think a guy like that can make a difference, with a team that, it's a young team? The White Sox are a young team. They have some great talent. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And they just literally went and got Tony La Russa for his, another encore presentation. What do you think a guy like that is going to bring to the game now when everything is so skewed towards the numbers and everything is so skewed to, towards the spreadsheets? What do you do you see that as maybe some normalcy returning back to baseball? Kyle, I want to ask you that.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I guess it depends on how thin a lot of those guys' skin are and how tough, they're all, a lot of prima donna baseball players out these days that can't handle the truth and don't like to be told what not to do and how to, there's nothing wrong with having flair, nothing wrong with having fun. It's part of the game now to a certain extent, I believe, but still there are players that think they can do – I think players think they can pretty much do whatever they want and act the way they want. And, like I said, we may be old school. The new school is a little bit different, but there has to be a fine balance. You just can't go out there and act like an idiot all the time. So I think Tony can come out there and, so I think I saw someone say, he managed, Ricky Henderson, McGuire, Canseco. So he knows he dealt with Flash before Flash even came around, with Ricky. So I believe he can handle that situation pretty good there in Chicago.
I mean, I agree with you, Kevin. That's for sure.
Well, like Kyle said, and actually I put that in the column this week. This is the guy who managed Ricky Henderson, Canseco, Pujols, McGuire, all different kinds of personalities. He'll have no problem with that. And I think it's a way of baseball admitting they've made a mistake, because he was also an analytics guy. They were an analytics team, way back then. But he knows what the numbers are and what they really mean and how they're a part of the equation, not the whole equation. So I think, and again, I go back to personal experience. Every time I saw Tony the last couple of years at Yankee Stadium when they were playing the Red Sox, he'd be sitting on the end, right next to the, right down from the seats from the official scorer on the end, basically locked in. He had that crazy man intensity going on. He wasn't in the press box eating chocolate cake and BSing like on, Everybody Loves Raymond. He was locked in. So I think he understands the game very well. It's going to be interesting to me. Because he was not the pitching guy. Dave Duncan ran the pitching. Yeah. Did a great job. McKay will probably join him. I think McKay's in Arizona. So it's like somebody told me, they said it's like getting the band back together, the Rolling Stones, Yeah. And how can they do now? But it's a trend now. Dusty did it. You go to La Russa now. And I was kidding with McKeon, but I said, yeah, Jack, you're only going to be 90 in November. You could come back one more time. So I like it. I think it's Reinsdorf saying, and I never get upset about owners, what they do, because it's their freaking team. They can do whatever they want. They can hire whoever they want. Reinsdorf probably said, I'm getting older. I don't know how many years I got left, Tony. Get me to the World Series. Because he knows how much talent they had. And now 14 teams are making it every year. I mean, you want a guy in that World Series who's going to manage you and get in that postseason and get you to where you need to be. And no more experiments with this manager or that manager. La Russa's been there 33 years. I think, 3 World Series, a lot of pennants. And I do know, too, though, I'll leave with this. People in the MLB front office have talked to Tony, said, Tony, go enjoy your life. Go get away. You're 76 now. And he basically told them, no, he wants to do this. So I think it's cool. Old guys rule.
I'm totally all right with that. And I mean, Jeff, this goes back to basically the Shigan movement. I mean, like, baseball people are starting to come back into baseball. Was that just a weird friggin' 5-year nightmare that we just went through? Or do you think this is the start of maybe people coming to their fucking senses a little bit?
Well, it's not over yet, but I think this is a good start. And I think I just don't think that if you look around baseball, how many managers walk into a room and command respect of their team without saying a word? There's not many of them. Dusty Baker, now La Russa, some little whippersnapper who just got called up from AA because he was a first rounder, when he's sitting on the bench because he doesn't hustle, what's he going to say to Tony La Russa? He's these kind of guys. I loved when going to spring training when you had, the first day, Farnsey and Glenn, you remember this, the first day of spring training when the manager addresses the team, right? You knew that day if he had you or he didn't, right? And when you had a guy with respect that we respected and we wanted to win for and knew that he was there for us and cared about us, we were going to run through a wall for that guy. But we know the guy that's a manager, was a college coach before, and he's basically a puppet for the front office. We're going to immediately not respect that guy and not go the extra mile for that guy and bust our ass for that guy. So I think it's a great trend. I don't know how many older guys we can bring back to manage, but I do like the idea that a baseball man with a great track record is taking the helm of, the White Sox, and who knows.
I agree with you completely. I mean, I'd like to see Buck Showalter get a look. I'd like to see Willie Randolph get a look, to be honest. I mean, I think both of those guys need.
Mike Scioscia needs to be back.
I agree. I mean, Scioscia, I feel like, is finally like, all right, I can relax for a year or two, and then I'll come back in.
I think he left because of the analytics. He got tired of this analytics shit, and that's not who he is,
that wouldn't surprise me. And that's why I like, like a guy like Girardi that, it's like, he's going to binder Joe, he's going to do his thing. But, he still manages a little bit with his gut. Unfortunately, he had the worst bullpen in pretty much Major League history last year, so there wasn't too much he could do. So, I mean,
he had one of the worst GMs too, Matt Klentak.
Well, he's gone too. Yeah, but didn't they just appoint his deputy as the?
Yeah, and he was.
That's going to end well. That's going to end really well.
That was a situation where everybody knew he had a bad bullpen, but they didn't fix it. So again, I hate to bring everything back to the nerds, but that's where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the epitome of same shit, different day. So, guys, I want to go around and we'll do a final thought on anything you want to do. Apparently, we're having dinner with Kyle. Dude, that's fine, man. Whatever you want to do with your Sunday is all good.
This Reese's Pieces.
Oh, even better. Okay, see, that's fine. I have those strewn about everywhere right now, too. We had 4 kids. We had 4 kids show up last night.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I bought a whole ton of shit, and it was terrible. Glendon, I'll start with you.
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that we're considered old school now, right? Jeff and Barnesy and I.
I'm older than the three, I think. So, I mean,
yeah. If you really think about that, it's funny. But I'm excited that they're, that those guys are back in and managing. I love older school baseball. I love the National League game. I was in the National League a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's going to be exciting to see what happens next year. Hopefully we get everything under control. We get fans back in the stands. Then also the guys that cheated will take some abuse that they've been waiting for. That hasn't happened yet. That's coming. So I think it's a good thing for baseball. I think you've got to have a blend of the analytics, right? I saw it when I coached 2015 through 17 with the Padres, and it's heavy and it's got to be the right blend for it to work properly. We got to go back to the eye test. We got to let managers, let their starters roll. I want to see starters go deeper in the game. I think everybody does.
Everybody does.
Right? That's what they're paid for, and keep the relievers in those roles. And I think the teams that do that are going to succeed on a more consistent basis than the other ones will. That's my opinion.
I like it. Kyle, what do you think about this?
I think it's good. Just like Glendon, we've all been talking about. There's nothing wrong with the numbers and the analytics because it definitely can help. But baseball isn't played by a computer or numbers or stuff like that. It's played human versus human, man versus man, and the computer. There's one thing I always told people: the computer can't tell how that person is feeling that day or that hitter is feeling that day. That guy can have been used 10 days in a row, the other guy could be sick and have the flu. So the computer doesn't know those numbers, and that's what's, that's why I can't understand how these front office people run by those numbers so strict that they obviously can't do the eye test and see what goes on and let the game play out in front of you, and that's how you manage. Use the numbers, yes, but also common sense and use your brain and watch what's going on. But, I also think it also starts from the top from Rob Manfred. I think since he has come in, he has absolutely has been trying to dismantle, make this game awful from day one. I've never seen someone try to this the things he does, and it's not making it any better. It's obvious. It's just making it worse. And then he had an opportunity with the Astros to do something for the fans, for the players, for all the other teams to send a message, and he was too scared. So, for old school managers to come back, older guys, stuff like that, I love it because that's how the game should be being played. Hard school, nose to the dirt, go all out, play with on your sleeve, go out there and have fun and go at it. Starters go 6-7 innings, guys in the bullpen. That's the way the game is played. That's what fans want to see. They don't want to see guys hitting 220 and people think that's awesome. That's not awesome. That's disgusting. And you're striking out 200 times and you're getting $20 million contracts. That's good. No, it's not. That's awful. And that's the product. That's why I haven't watched baseball really, just because the product is so awful. You get guys who throw 100 who can't throw strikes, but they want them because they throw 100. You want guys to hit 200 and strike out 200 times and hit 30 bombs. That's okay. So I'll cut it short. But yeah, and there's good and there's bad, but I believe there's more bad than good going on right now. And hopefully this is going in the right direction with the hiring of Tony and Dusty being in there, and hopefully other guys will get looks as well, and hopefully get rid of a lot of the computer nerds and get back to the basics.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. Couldn't agree with you more. So now I have to choose between Jeff and Kevin. All right, we'll go with Kevin.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short. Because I think Farnsworth, that was great. Baseball needs to listen to that. Two quick things. I think the Marlins are trying to be that way. Don Mattingly's there. They're pushing their starters. I've talked to Denbo about it. I've talked to Derek Jeter about it. I said, Derek, you're the last chance. You got to get it away from the nerds. And I see the Marlins doing that. So that's hope too. And Mattingly being there too. Because here's the other thing. This is what they don't realize they're doing. They're not only stealing away great moments from players. Like Blake Snell could have had the game of his life.
Yeah.
That could have propelled him to whatever. But they're also stealing away great memories from fans and great opportunities from writers and media to write a great story or something. Like I said, I was there for Jack Morris, so one of the greatest games ever. If Snell pitches a shutout, they win that game 1-0. They go into game 7, win it. Wow, what a story. Everybody's excited about baseball. But they're so freaking dumb, they don't see what they've done to the game, and it starts on top. And I'm just hoping the fans revolt and say, I've had enough of this crap. I'm not paying. I'm not going. And, we're going to go to a rugby game together in a bus.
I really appreciate your love of rugby. And I will say that I think the fans did revolt and they didn't watch. And everyone says you're not getting the young fans because baseball is boring. We're the old guys in our 40s saying that baseball's boring. Who's left? The nerds? Is that it? Jeff? I know you want to answer that one.
No, well, the first thing I think needs to be done is we got to get Manfred out of there.
He really has to go.
They need an impartial commissioner, which probably never happened, but just all the stuff he's done so far. Now, I pray to God that they don't outlaw the shift and reward hitters for not going the other way. They refuse to do it.
I agree.
It would be horrible for the game. But I think something great happened this year. The way Game 6 ended, by them losing, by sticking with the numbers, I think that was great for the game. Because I think these people can't be so blind they don't see what just happened. That this team went with strictly analytics, didn't matter how the pitcher was doing. They didn't care. They were taking him out of the game. He was dominating, and it came back, and they lost, and it backfired.
Yeah.
I think that is huge for the game because these managers have to have enough leeway to say, listen, I know that's what we talked about, but in my gut, I felt like he was dominant. He was doing his job. He wanted it. I wanted to give him the opportunity. And he should be allowed to do that. Great managers used to do that. Give their player – and you guys know, nothing's more important than confidence in this game. And when you feel like your manager has confidence in you, you're going to achieve things you wouldn't normally be able to do. And Jimmy Williams had so much confidence in me, he's pinch hitting me for Trot Nixon and Fenway against Rob Nen. I'm like, are you serious, Jimmy? He's like, come on, Frito, you got it. I was like, all right, shit, let's go. In my mind, I'm thinking he's messing up, but he believes in me so much that it made me believe in myself more, and I think that's just not really happening anymore.
Well, there's no friggin' algorithm for that, there's nothing to tell you. It's like how pumped up you are, you had a good day, you're ready to hit. I don't know, you had a glass of orange juice before the fucking in-between innings and you feel good. There's no algorithm for that.
No, well, Jimmy Williams would go against the conventional thinking, because he didn't care. It was his gut. We were in Toronto, and we go play golf, all the right-handed hitters, because we're facing a righty Castillo. The league's hitting 189 against him, right-hander. So we're like, we're not playing tomorrow. We show up at the field, and he goes, I got all you guys in there because the righties are hitting 189, so go get him. We're like, oh, shit. We play golf? We got 12 hits and won the game, right? That won't happen today. That can't happen today. They're not allowed to do that today.
No, and that's the thing. It's Kevin, you brought up a really great point in your last column where it's like, what? The numbers have always been there. It's not like any manager worth his salt didn't take the numbers into account. Billy Martin did the research. Billy Martin knew what was happening, but he also had the balls to make the right call. And I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. I hope we do. I want to go around and I want to say thank you because this thing is going to be the longest episode ever. Might have to be like, a short mini series on the BBC. Who the hell knows? I want to go around. I want to say Jeff. I want to say Ken. Well, actually, I don't yet. I have to do Rocco, the ombudsman. Hold on. I'll edit that out. So that brings me to Rocco Constantino, our ombudsman here, who loves to tell us what we fucked up. And he's been sitting there compiling a stat list, I can tell. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rocco Constantino, our ombudsman, is here with us. And he's going to tell us what we all fucked up. Rocco, go for it.
Just a couple points to add to the conversation. Henry Mejia was the pitcher who was suspended 3 times for PEDs, and then let back into the game. He ended up pitching 55 innings in 2019 in the minors with a 6.02 ERA, so the game took care of itself. Glendon Rusch and Jeff brought up a great point that reliever that Nick Anderson was totally shot on the Rays. His 5.52 ERA in the postseason, and then the 0.55 ERA in the regular season. The only run he gave up was a solo homer to Luis Garcia with the Nats. The Phillies had the second worst bullpen ERA in Major League history. The only other team worse was the 1930 Phillies. So great day, we get to dump on the Phillies twice. June 30th, 1997, Jeff Frye pinch hits against Rob Nett, struck out. But I think that Jimmy Williams had confidence there. And we will take the time to mention his .316 batting average career against Randy Johnson. Ages of Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, 77, Keith Richards, 76, Tony La Russa getting the band back together, 76 years old too. Besides that, we're all good. Great episode. Thanks a lot.
Listen, so I want to say thank you to everybody that's here. And Jeff, Kevin, Rocco, Glendon, Kyle especially, thank you so much for bearing with me, trying to figure out how to get in touch with you today. Want to say thank you to you guys, and anytime you guys want to do something like this, we're always here to talk baseball. And we always want to let the players be heard. Thank you, fellas. Thank you. I don't know what to say. There's no good goodbye. We can all say goodbye at the same time. And we have Louis T on. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next time.